Welcome everyone, friends and newcomers, astrologers and astrology lovers. I know my site is a little bit challenging and I like to keep it that way. There's so many characters in this play, about 40 or so you have to slowly get accustomed and learn about the different characters, like a big soap opera. Anyway, we are in for some huge fireworks. That's what I can see, and it's not too far away. It's around spring equinox, March the 21st. Actually, I just received this morning this beautiful email, which I would like to read you a few paragraphs of, by Aluna Joy Yashin. She is the one who wrote the first book, which I read on the Mayan calendar, on the dream spell, based on Jose Arguelles' take, which resonates totally, in my opinion, with what's going on. And she has that connection to the ancients, she has that connection to the spirit world. She's an amazing lady. So let me just read you a few paragraphs here from her latest. In the week prior to and the week after equinox, I'm seeing that there will be a beautiful uplifting of energy. The heaviness of all the processing and transformation over the last few months will ease bit by bit into an energetic crescendo. It will take us to the next lighter frequency. We will begin to feel stronger, more clear, more confident, more grounded. The huge transformation in 2022 and naturally into February 2023 has been hard and heavy work. We are really coming out of that period now, and it's that end of the Uranus occultations. We will get into this in a short while when I show you charts, because this is really just confirming to me what I already have seen in the charts. But until we reach these beautiful and balanced equinox energies, the most important task that is on the top of the list is to serve the center, meaning be totally within your power and be creative, look forward, don't look back. It's no sense to do that. We shouldn't even worry too much of what is truly going down right now. We should truly just look ahead. It's like you're driving fast. The faster you drive, the more your eyes have to be really in the far distance, scanning everything to do the right moves, the right actions. That's where we are, and there's lots in the planning, lots of potentials are there to be harnessed. Be the calm in the storm. Don't engage with polarities. Yes, don't touch it, as Jacqueline Hobbs says, Oracle Girl. Don't agree, don't disagree, just stay neutral in that sense. Be comfortable with uncertainty, because truth is going to shift like quicksand under our feet. I sure love that expression. Many times as we land in this new cycle of time. That's big. Anytime we get attached to anything, we may get the rug yanked out from beneath us. This time is not about anchoring, it's about staying fluid and being open to the unexpected, and that's what I see coming. Really some real magic, kind of that missing link, the missing code to open the safe. The combination is given, all of a sudden everything falls in place, and yes, it's unconceivable, unimaginable at this point, but that's kind of the event I see coming. Something out of the left field, nobody saw it coming. The global corruption at the top will continue to crumble and be brought down and cleared out. So I'm just really reading you a few paragraphs. There's way a bit more in this mail. If you find it interesting, you can go to my Facebook page or on Telegram. I also have a channel. You find the links under the video here. Global corruption at the top will continue to crumble and be brought down and cleared out. There is no place to hide. Everything will come into the light. No place to hide for those that benefited from their wealth or status, which used to make them immune to consequences of their self-serving actions. We will continue moving into a world driven by governmental systems where its main code or law is transparency, honesty, impeccability, and integrity. Because the frequency is rising on this planet. That's all. We are pushing out the lower frequency band, as I said so many times. This will be the cornerstone of the new world, as we will no longer rely on elected authority figures, no longer rely on those people, as we will be our own authority and self-governed by truth and integrity. This will take quite a bit of time to land and anchor on the new earth naturally, in a way that we can still maintain physical life while making the shift. So it has to be organic, as I also said many times. You can't think of any huge and big moves all of a sudden. This has to be built on that base of public support. It's a grassroots movement. Naturally, there is this one event which is crucial, which will create the fire within that collective movement and bring so many more on board, and that is really what we were waiting for. The bottom line is realizing our current reality is a blank canvas for us. That's big, to begin to create a new world. That's why I say forward looking is so super important right now. Stay in your heart, yes, come from that place of unconditional love. Stay neutral, take responsibility for all your actions, act from impeccability. Miguel Ruiz, the Four Agreements, would probably be the best source here for those of you who want to learn more about impeccability, honesty and integrity, and most of all maintain your balance with Mother Earth. Yes, that is where we're getting our power. That is what is happening. We are part of nature and we are supported by nature in that sense, in a magical way, inconceivable. It shows definitely in the astrological alignments, the energetic mandala of frequencies, which is forming a wonderful synchronicity after the other. So many unbelievable little omens and signs, and if you are paying attention, you will see it in your life too. You don't have to be an astrologist. You see it in number combinations showing up in your awareness, that you're happening to look at the clock at a certain time, happening to see the license plate in front of you with, for example, 4 5s or things like that, repeatedly, continuously happening. All the little hints and indications that we are definitely on track. I'm getting them all the time. So that's why I'm so convinced, so sure that's where we are going. Unlike in Lemurian times, where we stayed connected to our light body, or Atlantean times, where we were anchored in our advanced mental body, this lifetime you're just getting into, we will learn to do both and more simultaneously, and with the unique twist that only comes with the new laws of nature anchored in this new cycle. That should give you the indication. Anyway, that is the kind of the intro which I wanted to give to this recording today, and we are starting out with Neptune's discovery chart, because that's really where all the threads will lead finally in transmuting Neptune. It's Neptune's awakening. It's the recognition, the seeing through the veil, the unmasking, and all that accelerates in the support of that cast, that cast of characters, of celestial characters, which are helping to bring that all into the light. In the same way, much in the same way as Neptune was brought into collective awareness the first time, which was in 1846 with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Saturn, the one which gives shape, form, which is pulling off the cloaking blanket from over Neptune's head to make it fully visible. That is now happening. 2.0s, you could say, and as I have shown you in quite a few of my previous videos, how this all comes together. Neptune's chart is really where we see the best how this process is underway. And just guess what? Uranus will cut over this degree once more in early May. So by early May latest, we will tap into a totally new frequency band. It's a build-up between now and then, and it will truly come into the collective knowing. The absorption I should happen will be between May and September. There will be a marvelous, wonderful summer coming. Yes, there is casualties. Yes, many people are suffering. They are our warriors. They are the ones who have taken on that role to create the situation which allows for that to become true, what is just on its way. So let's look at what I have lined up here for you in terms of charts. I leave here the heliocentric Neptune discovery chart on the side because we will refer to Neptune's chart over and again. So let me just first say a few words to this chart. What stands out is that mystic rectangle here between Saturn and Neptune and Aries, very prominent here in the 11th house, in a trine to the North Node. On the other side of this rectangle is the Black Moon, very deeply meaningful, and the South Node with Pluto and the equatorial point, and Deucalion. That's probably the one which holds the biggest key to what's going on here, aside from many others, particularly asteroids, which show this is like a certain frequency band. Neptune is bringing in 1846 a first stage of revelation, and after that the Neptunian energy has been investigated in very different ways. Think of Freud and Jung, who all came in the wake of Neptune's discovery to unravel the map, the landscape of our psychology. All of that leading into the distorted manifestations of MK Ultra and whatnot. That's all layers of that Neptunian character, and now we are coming to a place where all that is kind of it's like you turn up the frequency and then the pattern changes. That's what we see happening. And with Arrokoth transiting over this 10th house cusp of this Neptune chart, which started pretty much in 2019 when Arrokoth was actually visiting, I should say being visited by New Horizons. Nevertheless, just even that name alone, keep that in mind as a contemplative object. So the New Horizons probe, which was designed to visit Neptune, which was accomplished in 2015, and then they looked for an object on the trajectory of that space probe, as there still was a little bit fuel left, and they were able to, within reason, redirect the probe into a certain direction. They found Arrokoth as being an interesting object to take into consideration. It was found. This was actually the best choice. And on January the 1st, 2019, anything which happens on January the 1st is extremely meaningful. So Arrokoth has been named after that native word Arrokoth, which means which is in the Virginia area of the United States, where the ground station is for the observation of what information is brought in by this New Horizons space probe. That was their headquarters in Boston, or something like that, over in the East Coast, or Baltimore, I forget, but it is in that area. That's why the name Arrokoth, standing under the open sky, seeing the whole picture. It is, as I have repeatedly spoken about, one of the leading signs of this big age of enlightenment we're getting into, as this is the hexagram 61 inner truth, which we are tapping into now in the next 5-6 years. This is a great window of revelations, and naturally the Neptune chart has been triggered here. And Uranus now crossing the ascendant for the 3rd time. These are just little snippets. Then Saturn had its return to this degree just recently, and that's where we are getting to. So one more thing I want to say here is that the focal point of this chart you see here is in the end of Gemini. Pretty obvious. So Jupiter, the part of fortune, and Helonome are in this area, and that is where Aspolus is right now, and Aspolus is a key player. It is the Sherlock Holmes energy, which is so interested in resolving the puzzle. That is the energy, the curiosity of that frequency, which is having us really look at what happens as a collective, and it will be naturally overcoming all that fear and repulsion of what's truly been happening. Like Sherlock Holmes, you have to look at the evidence. You look at the corpse of and at the murderer's weapons, and you analyze all the dark details. That's what's going on. So if any character singularly would be responsible to do this, it is Aspolus. And Aspolus, the seer, it's a centaur planet, has been discovered, I guess, in 1995. Was named after that character in the Greek mythology, who is the guardian of the sacred potions. Very important. And as he shared wine, which is that sacred potion in the Greek mythology, with his good friend Chiron, who is the healer. These are the two enlightened characters, you could say, within the Centaurian family. Yes, there's a few more. Pholus is definitely also quite enlightened, but the long and short, Aspolus holds the secret, is attracted to mysteries and riddles, naturally. And one particular thing about Aspolus astronomy is the proportion between its greatest distance from the sun to its closest approach to the sun is the golden means. 0.61877 versus 1.61877. So this implies that Aspolus is giving the ability to perceive underlying order and harmony. And that's where we're really heading to, that we are cutting through all the dark evidence and see in the end this is all a play of duality, if you want to say, and we have to get beyond the emotional component, so that we can see it is in the end it's just we needed the dark forces as much as the light forces to create that unique dynamics which finally will allow the breakthrough into a higher dimension, or in more simple words said, we needed a big kick in the butt to wake up. Okay, I guess that is pretty clear. Okay, let's look into charts here now. So on January the 25th, Saturn had its final return to this discovery degree in Neptune's chart. So so to say, it was the final hit of Saturn being exactly in that same place. This chart, well, I'm just showing you these various charts, and I'm building my case here, so stay with me. What stands out is the Moon Jupiter conjunction in early Aries. Yes, that is definitely a sign that we are moving into new territory, together with Salacia and Juno. Now, Salacia is super important in terms of fitting into the Neptunian story. Salacia is Neptune's wife. How about that? That's again, mythological connections are super important. You can go back to my prior video where I show you how Salacia's chart fits perfectly into the Neptunian theme, how she truly complements. And even if you look into Neptune's discovery chart, here it is again, okay, then you see, come on, it's not wanting to show itself. Okay, here we are. You see Salacia is here at the bottom of the chart in the discovery chart, already very powerfully placed. Again, you have to go to that recording to get the full story. So Salacia plays a critical role in uncovering the Neptunian frequency and transforming it to a higher frequency band. So well, again, I could say many more things about this chart. I just want to keep it short and sweet. Sorry, it still will be quite a bit of time you have to spend to get the full story, and appreciate that a lot if you do stay and listen. And if it's too much information at once, just take a break, continue tomorrow. That's always what I suggest. So Mars here in this chart of January the 25th, you see at 9 degrees 10 in Gemini, and this is very close to where the Mars turned direct in the 9th degree, actually just some 2 weeks prior at 8 degrees 07. And then we have the comet, the green comet, which will turn direct in that exact same degree at 8:21, will turn direct, so keep that in mind. We are still away from that final kick. This great comet will put into the whole narrative. We are still in that time of pulling the string back. The comet is still going backwards. I want to show you here the Ephemeris, which is thanks to Ron Scott. He and his services have put that up. You see here, you see it, APS, that's their website. Ron and his friend Astro Precise Services allows to calculate all kinds of unusual objects to the most exactest minute detail. He pays lots of attention on that. So he has been the source here, giving me the updated ephemeris and data. So if we just go here into what I want to show you, you see the comet is retrograde till March the 5th at 8°21. As I say, I mean, it's uncanny the connection this comet has with Mars. And as you might have heard if you listened to my earlier recording, according to the 9, that group of consciousness, of collective consciousness, which is accessed by Magenta Pixie, this comet is bringing in the deliverance codes. It's the star-seeded comet of deliverance codes for humanity, and that's a big statement. And I can tell you, it really feels like this comet's energy has been inserting that missing piece, and particularly so into Mars energy. I do a separate video on that, showing you once more. I kind of try to make it more concise and short, but it's just unbelievable how this galactic interstellar energy coming back from a 50,000 year orbit, bring all that coding and supercharging Mars. Mars has changed direction just an hour or so prior to the comet's closest approach to the sun. This in itself was unique, and then they turn direct in the same degree. They have a conjunction in the comet's discovery chart. They again had a conjunction when they both were, when the comet was closest to Earth, which was on February the 1st, and then on February 12th, when the comet was cutting through the ecliptic, the Sun-Earth plane, another super important touchdown point that was within hours of conjuncting Mars, the one and only time they were in the same degree during this close encounter into the inner solar system. And then last but not least, yes, turning direct in the same degree on the 5th of March, just 2 days after standing vertical above the equator. That will be when the declination, that is when that particular comet will be crossing from the northern to the southern hemisphere, so to say, being in that perfect alignment with planet Earth alone. So there's lots to come. There are still this is just still in the phase of fully getting ready, implementing all the different pieces of the puzzle. That's where we're at, in the middle of that. So after March the 5th, it will really take off. You will be surprised. I will be surprised. All we will be. So anyway, this was the third time Saturn returned to its position in the Neptune discovery chart, and you see there was a conjunction with Venus here. Very beautiful. So overall it will be this hints at kind of that coming together as a group, taking responsibility for what is indeed the case. And also the Sun here in a 90-degree angle. Let me just show here. I guess it's easier if you can see the Neptune geocentric chart over here, then you see what I mean. So the Sun 5 degrees and something Aquarius, squaring the Moon here, pretty exact. And I mean, there's again many things here which one could look at, congruences and relations. Furthermore, what stands out is, let me see if I write the lunar nodes. Naturally, since January the 25th, they have been coming closer and closer, the south node, to the Moon and Neptune's discovery chart. So there's something building there, and this was just the starting point. Now let's see what charts I have lined up here. I'm always again surprised what I see. I never exactly know. So this is the next one, when Saturn then conjuncted Neptune's position in its discovery chart, which was 2553. You see, before it was 2508. Year 2508. Now, just a few days after, on the 1st of February, which again, just to remind you, was the day when the comet was in the, let me remind myself, I'm sometimes losing here the, okay, February the 1st it was, let's go back here. Yes, that was when the comet was closest to Earth, right? Yeah, right. Yes, that is its perigee, right? February 1st at 3 degrees and 30 minutes in Cancer. That is this is a midday position here. So what it says, on that very day when the comet was closest to Earth, Saturn was perfectly on Neptune's discovery chart. Another hint that this comet plays a major role. And here you see the Mercury rising and in a trine to Neptune's natal position. And also you see it's the cardinal 17th degrees here both times. So both crosses, which gives that powerful cardinal intent of restructuring, and the center degrees of each sign are very special, as the Dwad is the opposite sign between 15 and 1730. So if you in personal chart have anything in those center degrees, this is always kind of the most intense charge of that particular energy, and well balanced at the same time with the other side of the zodiac, as this is the fractal. So there is some really honing in on a particular expression Capricorn and Mercury, yes, this is very analytical and figuring out the plan behind it all. And again, if we look at Neptune's chart, this is very close to its midheaven here in the 9th house. I mentioned it before, Moon here on Neptune's part of fortune, and another one is this one here, the vertex point in this global chart on Neptune's black moon on its shadow. Yes, we're piercing through the shadow here of this energy, and it was set up that way, yes, that it was blinding us, and its reflections were so blatantly glaring that nobody could see what's really behind it. That's kind of the frequency I'm getting out of this black moon placement. Now in the collective spiritual focal point, if you want, that's what the vertex really is. This is looking towards the higher dimensional Tao, versus this is the very manifest and down to earth on the surface. This is kind of always a little bit up in the clouds. So you see the strong resonance of this chart, and then on the 5th of February we have Jupiter conjunct Salassia the third time. I found this chart again giving away a lot, but particularly with Venus here perfectly in the apex, in the zenith of this global chart, in the zero meridian overhead. This is Jupiter here 655, and here you see Salassia 655. I'm using Swiss Ephemeris always to calculate these exact moments, which is the most exact at this point Ephemeris, which is constantly updated with new resolutions, which means new observations of these bodies, and they are always coming in. It's the astronomical world is so advanced now, and we astrologers owe those people a lot. They bring us the information which we then can build on and see the meaning behind it all. That's what astrology is, seeing the meaning behind the mathematical equations and everything which our world is based on, which truly these different planets are fractals in that mandala, and I'm here helping you to decipher it. I'm myself not an absolute expert in deciphering, but I'm just following the trail of breadcrumbs. As always, I'm looking at what stands out, and here is another one which can't be overstated. Pallas, first of all, here at the ascendant, here part of fortune, perfect opposition point. Yes, it's all about seeing patterns and integrating our observations into a solid and founded argument, you could say. Really building our case. That is what Pallas is helping us here. And yes, the intention is to bring everyone together and create that frequency of empathy, of we are standing next to each other and we are holding each other's hands. That's kind of the frequency I'm getting. Now, first of all, Jupiter and Salassia. Again, Salassia is Neptune's wife. Jupiter is the one which is nourishing, which is truly enlarging any energy it embraces. Salassia, as I mentioned quite a few times, in this multi-year opposition to Maki Maki being the courageous warrior spirit of not giving up before the connection to the higher dimensions is established. Again, wanting to remind you, this is the young warriors who are swimming through shark infested waters to bring back that first egg from that neighboring little island, and the one young man who brings the first one back will be elevated to become the channel for that deity for 1 year. And Maki Maki is one of the creation deities, truly at the crest of the wave, if you want, of new creation, where we are piercing into what's just becoming manifest. This opposition has been on since 2016 around, when they both simultaneously entered Aries and Libra, which truly, if we look back, and now we have enough perspective to see, that is really when things changed, when we got into a whole new dynamics. So this is kind of, and this, I should add, this opposition between Maki Maki and Salasya is on for 17 years straight, 34 times or so. They will have an exact opposition as seen from Earth, because they move pretty much exactly in sync. And 2025 is the midpoint when they heliocentrically will have their opposition in June, I guess, 2025. So you see, we are still coming closer to that midpoint of that recreation. And Salasya, in a simple way said, is all the feminine wisdom being incarnate into the four corners of Earth. It was interesting. I listened to this really great interview between Pam Gregory and this other lady whose name I've forgotten, but if you go to Pam Gregory's page, YouTube page, you will find that interview. Really good interview, by the way, where they were referring to Salasya as resonating with the name Alisa. I guess it was the interview with Magenta Pixie right now. Sometimes I'm a little slow. Anyway, that was it. And Alisa is the name, the 9 mentioned as the key energy which would bring light into the situation. And Alicia is, as they say, the higher consciousness, feminine aspects of goddesses Bridget, Hecate, Raidi, and Quedeverin. Yeah, that's a difficult one. Bridget, Hecate, Raidi, and Quederedwen, so to say, are the four corners of Earth. Quadrality, as Oracle Girl Jacqueline Hobbs is naming it. So it is that feminine wisdom which is brought down by Mars in the end, being implemented, becoming the, so to say, the one who enacts on that wisdom. That's how I see it. The one who is inspired to then fight for this cause. That's what we are getting here. Again, the cardinal ascendant, Pisces midheaven. The next interesting chart I found was on that same day. You see, just actually this was a really loaded day, February the 5th. At 1:50 p.m. we have this exact conjunction of Jupiter and Salasya. Actually, you see, just close to full moon, so this adds on to the importance of this moment. The moon in Leo, naturally very shining and strong, ready to to perform, to stand on stage, to be loud, to take up the megaphone. Kind of, that's the energy I'm getting out of this moon, just close to full moon. And then just shortly after full moon, you see 1655 this time in the release phase, but really close to full moon still. Pluto and Sedna have their first of 7 exact trines, 120-degree aspects. Sedna here at 28:48 and Pluto at 28:48 in Capricorn. So this is insofar a very powerful, important connection, as Sedna, as I understand it, is really the one energy which holds all the secrets, coming back from an 11,000 year plus orbit, bringing all that hidden information into the foreground as this body is coming into this inner solar system. And this will still be going on for quite a few decades. Actually, I guess it's 2074 or something, still more than 50 years away till Sedna is coming closest to the sun. So there's a big library which is being downloaded, all the information from the past. And Sedna, naturally, also by the name it was given, with the 3 letters DNA as the end of its name, DNA, Sedna, is this in itself holds a lot of gives us a lot of information of how powerful this body's information is, what it brings in. It allows us to pretty much see that everything is interconnected. A huge library, as I say, from the deep underground. Sedna is the deity ruling the depths of the ocean. And as we also know, the depths of the ocean are even less known than outer space. We know more about all the what's out there than what's down there. Sedna is holding all those secrets, bringing it into the open. Pluto in this trine is truly supportive. So that is kind of a great ally of bringing all that into the open. The Gemini midheaven, Mars here, really at the culminating point of this chart, again says it all here with a Mars-Venus square. Those creative forces are truly interactive with one another, challenging one another. And Mars in Gemini sign, yes, naturally Mars is totally firing up Mercury. That is, as I said many months ago, that is the bottom line of this long expression Mars has through the sign Gemini, actually pretty much till I guess early March or so. Yeah, you will find out. So we're in the final chapter, naturally, of this Mars expressing through Gemini. Actually, I have the ephemeris here. I should show you as I speak. You see that's turned direct, as I mentioned before, in that same degree as the comet does in 10 days or so. And by March the 25th, that is when Mars will enter Cancer. Yes, so you see, this is really that last few degrees will bring lots and lots of resolutions and uncover territory we haven't been even dreaming of. And just a few days prior, actually, I'm just wanting to point out, Mars turned retrograde at 25:36. You see here on October 31st or 30th it was, at 25:36:45, and that's where it will be on March the 16th. So that's when it truly comes out of its retro loop. And that's, as many astrologers pointed out numerous times, that's when a planet truly moves into new territory, which is pretty obvious. So anyway, Mars here extremely exposed in this chart. And again, okay, there's another one which really is worth mentioning. This is TX 300. Here was very exactly conjunct the North Node, just probably hours prior. If we go back to this other chart here, on that same day, you see here the node is still 3 minutes of arc shy of opposing TX 300. So it happens between those two moments here. So TX 300 is a very loud announcement, very bold and clear and strong. Again, think of the trucker convoy, you get the idea. Then on the 8th of February, okay, then the next notch higher here, which we are building the story, when heliocentric Saturn crosses the 27°30 mark. Think again, in heliocentric planets always move forward, so there's always only one hit. This is the energetic background which is changing, and I see I have here the geocentric chart for that moment. Let me just change that so you can truly see what I'm talking about. And then we go back to this chart. Okay, just as a reference point, I really like to keep that Neptune chart there, and we do say redraw, and here we have it, 27:30 Aquarius. Now, why is this such an important point? This is the moment Saturn enters the very last fractal part of Aquarius, the one designated to Capricorn, 27:30 till 0 degrees Pisces, which we will reach sometime in late April. Yes, we're speaking heliocentrically here, so Saturn will enter Pisces as seen from Earth already on March the 7th, but heliocentrically it will be in this last segment till, I guess, April 28th or something. So anyway, what does that mean? Not only is Aquarius one of the signs traditionally ruled by Saturn, so is even more Capricorn being the main Capricornian sign. So means Saturn is truly in its element, you could say, here in these last few weeks. So what is Saturn? Saturn's signature again is crystallization in one word. That's the best way to say it. It is the densest and most complex form of matter. It brings in that ability to encounter and feel and embody physical matter. It has that grounding pull, in that sense, bring things into the visible, into the tangible, touchable, pulling them out of the invisible frequency bands, exactly the way I see it happen with Neptune and its energy. So then just a few days after, this was the 8th of February, now a few days after, on the 14th of February, as in geocentric perspective, Saturn crossed that same line, and here you see it 27:30 now from Earth's perspective seen. So this is doubling it up now, and now this energy, February 14, this will be in place till, as I say, Saturn enters Pisces on the 7th of March. So real time of crystallization, and interesting, we see the moon here opposing again that critical degree here, 8-9 degrees Gemini, where Mars turned direct and where the comet is turning direct on the 5th of March. The conjunction here, the Sun is making with Saturn, is very special too in this context. So this really further magnifies Saturn's importance at this moment. And look at the degree here, 25:44. The Sun is. Look at where Saturn and Neptune are in Neptune's discovery chart. So the Sun is right here in between, something like 9 minutes of arc shy of conjuncting Neptune. You see the theme is building. It's really something is definitely going toward Neptune's expression in this world. It's, you can't oversee it once you have seen what I show you here. And then part of fortune here with Mars in conjunction, and this again is just days after the comet had its merger with the ecliptic, going through the ecliptic. Here I show you once more. February 12th it was. You see when this is the latitude, the celestial latitude, so to say. So this is the zero plane, is the Sun-Earth plane, which we define everything of if we look into space. So cutting through this plane is big. That is also in another way said, this was the moment when the comet cut through its south node. The south node being connected to the past, where something is coming from. So really that is one of the main infusion points of its codes, deliverance codes for humanity. And the name star-seeded, the 9 put in there, are certainly super meaningful. It shows that this is activating so many who are incarnate here on this planet to finally get access to that higher wisdom, to find that missing link, which would explain everything, which would change the whole storyline 180 degrees. That's where we're getting to. So again, that was the 12th, and again, to say it again, it cannot be overstated, that was just within hours again of Mars and the comet having their exact conjunction at 13 degrees and 12 minutes of arc. Furthermore, you see they have the black moon opposing Mercury. Yes, and that's where we are getting next. That is piercing to the darkest corner and bringing our mental and not just the mental. Mercury is really perception as such on all levels. all our sensory organs are involved: hearing, seeing, feeling. We're really getting directly thrown onto the that whole conundrum of what is going on this planet. It's becoming so obvious, so in our face, and that's what this chart definitely is underlining. That was just yesterday when the sun entered Pisces, and this is now the territory where everything is starting to churn and be moved in directions yet to be discovered, unknown at this point. We are in that I would say it's truly in the unknown, uncharted territory. 100% we are in now. See, that was when the sun entered Pisces, and what you see here. I mean, it's so amazing how the universe shows us everything. It's right in our face if we just are able to see it. And again, I feel very blessed and thankful that I can play this role and fill you in, show you all that encouraging coding, which seems to indicate in pretty clear language to where we are going. You don't need to be much of an astrologer at this point anymore. Just have to see the different pieces of evidence, and then it's really all falling in place. Also beautiful in this chart is the degree. Venus has 28:17. The important cutoff point is 28:15 in Pisces. Before that, we are in the degrees where Neptune is in for years on end now, which is 36, which is darkening of the light, which is again interesting in the sense that the light is really turned down more and more, which the interesting thing about that is the darker it gets, the more you can see those who carry the light. And that's one of the ways to see the miracle that is going on. It gets so dark on this planet, so those who are holding the light truly are standing out. They're becoming, you can't oversee them anymore. That's kind of what it is. And this chart with this is a really eclipsing everything we have been knowing and feeling and thinking what is going to happen. This is a huge shadow at mid zenith, and making the midpoint here between Pluto and the Moon and Mercury. Pluto and Mercury, that's challenging the mind in its highest forms. Pluto has this obsession, once it gets into something, to not stop until it reaches rock bottom. The very, very final cause in the chain of evidence is here being pursued. Yes, this is really oceanic territory we are in for the next 30 days or so till spring equinox. This is where things really change into a totally new shape and form. Everything is reconstructed in a way. It will be a huge moment, that spring equinox. Again, it won't be all at once. It's a progression, but it is the most critical shifts and changes will happen in the next 4 weeks. That's my prediction here. This chart shows it. The trine here to Aspulus is interesting. Aspulus at the 9th house cusp, again the seer, the one who is bringing in that torch, wanting to look into all the dark nooks and corners. Sherlock Holmes at work. And Saturn making the 3rd point here in this big trine, grand trine, beautiful, very beautiful, not even mentioning chaos and Pionor. Chaos, which is now heliocentrically in Cancer since January the 1st, and this just makes me relink back to the New Year's chart just quickly. I thought I really wanted to mention this once more. On January the 1st, and again, remember what I said about January 1st in general, how meaningful it is what happens on that day. In 2022, the first thing which happened on this planet was a Mars occultation visible from Australia in the early morning hours. That was 2022. And that was indicative for the whole year and definitely proved to be 100% on target. That was the time of the deepest abyss. All that went down in the year 2022, a very beautifully encapsulated in that fractal of a Mars occultation. It really started that fire of standing together, of speaking up for truth and taking a stand. This has been building over the whole year, and in 2023 on January 1st there were multiple interesting alignments on that day. There was a Uranus occultation on that day. Chaos entered heliocentric Cancer, which probably was the one and most important of the several alignments of that day. Also, heliocentric Mars was aligning with Aspolus, and Venus had a conjunction with Pluto, and that was pretty much repeating the conjunction it had in the Comet's discovery chart. Here you see it. So there's been a lot going on that first day of the year. This just on the side, showing you that it's yes, something is underway. So let's just see where we're going next. Now, so far we have just recovered our trails, and now let's see where we're heading. So on the 23rd, that's just 4 or 5 days away now, heliocentric Neptune will enter the 25th, cross the 25th degree of Pisces. So this is another really interesting and important turning point indicated when this is the Capricornian ward between 25 and 2730. Pisces Capricornian ward, again bringing in Saturn's energy from the back door. Saturn being in that sense the dispositing planet of that particular fractal of Pisces territory. And what you see, heliocentric Saturn at the root of this chart. I mean, again, it's so amazing. And then the other thing which stands out, Juno at the 7th house cusp here, pretty exactly where it is in the Neptune's discovery chart, showing us the path this will take. It's all about teamwork, supporting one another, standing on each other's sides, and building this structure together. As it says, many pillars needs to hold a big roof. That's what it is with Venus here approaching Uranus, very, very promising, beautiful. Yes, Neptune is truly ready to be entering a higher frequency band. So it is not really that this is something Neptune wouldn't like. Neptune actually, as I see it, is an energy which wanted to be discovered. And first of all, it presented itself as a double-sided mirror, so we would be first able to reflect within our bubble as much as we can, to finally come to that point where we all of a sudden see that we can see through the bubble, that we just have to switch a little into another frequency band, and that wheel becomes transparent and we can see the depth of everything into the infinite. So that's kind of what I'm reading out of this chart. Very interesting also here, this combination of energies. Jupiter here heliocentrically aligned with Chiron and Astrea. In that sense, empowering these two asteroids. And Astrea being here the one closest to Jupiter. Yes, this is about getting big into the business of cleaning up and doing things which are long overdue, and taking care of all the problems. This is an active role we are meant to get involved in here very clearly. So this is the heliocentric chart for this moment, and I was just fascinated by this, as this is a true landmark, this moment. I mean, Neptune has been in the sign Pisces since 2011, and in that sense has covered now 25 of 30 degrees here in heliocentric longitude. This is the beginning of these next 5 years, roughly, maybe a little less than that, 3 years I would say, yes, into 2025-26, when then Neptune will enter Aries, starting off a whole new cycle. So we are still in that ending phase of integrating everything before truly starting to build out and project into a much greater future. This is a time of transition. I mean, as I pointed out before, between 2016 2034 is that real phase of rebuilding. 25-26 is about at the midpoint of it. Okay, so the geocentric chart of that moment. Again, Saturn is very close to that same place, as it's so close to the Sun. It's minutely different. The Moon here at 25 Taurus, that is, no, sorry, at 25 Aries, that's here. And the 25-degree mark is super important again in the Neptune chart. 25 Aries, you see that's where Pluto is here. So yes, Neptune is going through an evolution, in changing, literally moving. That's what Moon Pluto often manifests as in our personal charts, when we are moving, when we are making big moves in life, physically as well as mentally. Pluto and the Moon are often in a connection. Mercury here, 1833 Aquarius, that is exactly squaring the ascendant descendant axis of the Neptune discovery chart. Again, another one. again, there's many more we could find if we would engage the nodes here. You see now pretty dead on exact. The south node 551 Scorpio, 525 is the moon here in Neptune's discovery chart. Yes, again, on another level, it is reconnecting with the past. This is a point of remembrance, of truly understanding something which has been veiled and hidden for so long. Radamanthus here, beautifully too. Radamanthus always showing up. It's a sign of integrity, of righteousness and justice. Also Varuna here in that same frequency band. Okay, now we're going into February the 25th, which will be the next of these really super interesting turning points. And actually the first chart here in that context is this one here. Just give me a minute. I think I have it here. No, I think I did. Yeah, I think I lined it up correctly. Let me see, there's one more which I had in mind. And which one was it? That right, I now remember. Okay, just give me a sec. One more little raisin here in this cake I truly wanted to show you. It's where do we have it here? This is the one. Okay. Anime chart. Yep, that's the one. Okay. On the 25th, that's next Saturday. Earth's alignment with AW197. Here it is. 6 degrees and 13 minutes. AW197 is stealth and under the radar traveling. It's the art of stratagem, art of war, the ability to allow the enemy to encroach and do its thing, to then at the very right moment turn everything inside out and use that momentum presented by that energy to collapse itself in a way. It's the boomerang effect, if you want. So I found this super interesting with Mars again here in pole position. Yes, it's just starting to backfire big times. That's what this chart tells me. That's the 25th of February. And then as we go through the day, a few hours later, we have the... Okay, let's go back here once more for seeing where the moon is here. The moon is here at 10:14, as you see, and here it's at 11:10, so very shortly after, and we are approaching the final Uranus occultation here. I want to show you this one first, because this I've seen many months ago. I talked about this would be kind of a culmination point in a very big way, as this is the 15th of 15 occultations Uranus has been undergoing. Means it's been hidden behind the moon for at least a while, as seen from any part on this planet, because the moon is much smaller than Earth. So when these occultations happen, they are always in a corridor, like the solar eclipses too. So anyway, this is when the moon, for the last time in this sequence, will be exactly aligned with Uranus, actually really at the peak of this occultation, and where what you see is here the sun in midheaven over the 0 meridian of Earth. Pretty telling in itself. And the degree they have this last final meeting, the center degree here of Taurus again, and just remember what I said about center degrees. They're the most intense, the most powerful in that sense, holding the energy of that particular sign. So Jupiter towering here together with Chiron here, and these other asteroids. Yes, there's so much more in this chart. Let's just go back for a minute to this one, which you see again, they have a perfect cross. They work as a team. You see here you have the 10 degrees Cancer. Actually, yes, I really should mention this one. This is pretty powerful stuff. This is Pallas here rising globally, collectively. Yes, it's dawning on the human civilization, big time. Something is not as what it should be. Something is different from what they've been told. This is the moment of recognition, really. This is big. This can't be overstated. And you see 10 degrees cardinal here, Deucalion. Now let's look at Deucalion for a moment. I mentioned Deucalion earlier on in Neptune's discovery chart. Well, you can't see it this here really. I just want to go back to it. So you see the implications this has. So this is dynamic anime chart here. Deucalion, 29 degrees Aries here. The closest contact with the south node, again the south node being connected to the memory bank where Neptune is coming from in a very literal way. Also the hidden potentials, also Pluto being here. There's a huge transformational potential here in these last degrees of Aries, which is in the I Ching. This is hexagram 3. Difficulty at the beginning. How interesting is that? So it's kind of the time when the seed is sprouting and starts pushing through the ground. Now Deucalion is here at 26 and 23 minutes in Scorpio. When it turns retrograde, this is the starting point of a 4 or 5 month period of digging deeper inside. Now Deucalion, let me say that much, is the same character as Noah in the biblical story. In that sense, it's Noah. What makes Noah special is he had foreknowledge. He knew of something that would come. Eventually he was laughed at and ridiculed, but he did nevertheless do the right thing, listen to his intuition, and build the ark, which is symbolic for getting the structures in place for when things change. So you can read between the lines what this means, all on that same day And then there's another one here. This is the Uranus occultation, and then here this is the one which I'm really wanting to focus on, because this is the end of the day picture when Saturn will have its one and only square to Sedna. Now consider this is the first time since Sedna has been discovered that Saturn has this position 90 degrees before reconnecting. This is the moment of release, of taking action on what has been learned, on the grounds of what has been learned. That is the waning square here we have. So this is a big release point in that sense of making Sedna more real. And again, I mentioned it before, never finished my thought. Sedna is the one which truly will redeem Neptune from its blindness. It will cut through that veil and show us a way greater depth of what is going on. And again, if we look at Sedna's position in Neptune's discovery chart, you will see it is here in a critical place, actually where Neptune is right now. So it all kind of reconnects. It's quite magical in an opposition to Mars. So Mars is a major player here, as it's close conjunct the Sun in this Neptune discovery chart. And yeah, just emphasizing this once more too, Mercury in Virgo together with Venus. It's all about discovery, about finding the fine print, reading the fine print, and taking one layer after the other away from that deceptive cover. Very methodical. And again, Mars, yes, being here a critical player. So you see how it all comes together. This is at 26 degree. Well, 26 degree is Deucalion in here in Scorpio. 26 Virgo, that is where or Pisces, that is where Sedna is in Neptune's chart. Yes, let's go back once more. It's just, yeah, I can't have all those charts open at the same time, but you can see it. Sedna here, 2614. Again, I mean, there's a whole geometry here. There's lots of 26 degrees placements here going on. Okay, last but not least, actually, this is now where my story closes, where it all comes together, and that's kind of what I hoped you would be able to still hear before you get bored. Is this one. That's the comet's discovery chart, the green comet with Neptune's discovery chart. This is where they meet, where they shake hands, which is June the 13th, 1934. That's the midpoint chart. That's the resonance of those two energies together. And you see just the similarity of this chart with the one I showed you before. Saturn, Sedna square. There is some powerful resonance here. Again, you could find many more overlapping things here. Just pointing out Mars here, 746 Gemini, again just within less than half a degree of where Mars turned direct, where the comet will turn direct on March the 5th. Well, I'll leave it at this for now. Stay tuned. I will make another video more concise of what this comet really is all about. It's extremely exciting times we're in, and it's again reminding you, look forward, look ahead, be creative, do all the wonderful things you ever wanted to do with the time you have on the side of having to do what is necessary to survive, but really focus on empowering that powerful spirit of renewal which is happening, even though not yet fully visible. It is there, it is fully in full motion, and it really needs very little to just tune into this frequency and you will be able to connect with it too. Thank you for joining and listening, and see you soon.